Yo, what is going on, beautiful people? This is Matthew with the Thoughtful Banter podcast, along here with my co-host today, Husseini Sane.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to another episode. I don't know what episode this is because we're recording these Jones in bulk.
For real.
The way Costco be, you know. So, but you know what it is. If you're listening to this on Spotify, whatever you're listening to it on, make sure to give it a thumbs up or a 5-star rating. Comment down below, subscribe, whatever it is, do all the positive things that lets the platform that you're listening to us on show that you like this podcast. Without further ado, let's get right into it. We're talking about today, we're talking about a lot of different things. We don't just have one subject, but we're talking about like some recent events. A couple of days ago, if you guys don't know what the H3 is saying, you're killing me.
I need to get a good yawn and stretch out.
Yeah, he like takes the microphone away to like not. I appreciate you taking the mic away so it's not in my ear.
Exactly.
No. So
hold on. Quick story though.
Yeah.
So when I first started talking to Zainab, you know how I'm always tired and two always yawning.
Yeah.
So when I was first talking to Zainab, I would yawn on the phone. I'd be like, I wouldn't mute myself.
This guy.
And so she was telling me, she was like, I was confused why you'd keep calling me and talking to me, because every time you yawn, I think you were bored, but then you'd be like engaged in the conversation. So it was like weird for me, and I was like, oh my god, I felt so bad.
That's red pill. Was that your goal?
It was nothing like. I wasn't
playing mind games with her.
No, I wasn't because I was bored.
I was showing her I'm bored.
I needed
keep her on her toes.
I needed a yawn. Anyways,
yeah, this guy, make me yawn, bro. You're yawning
you really
too.
just like get past the yawn. Anyways, continue.
We're passing y'all back and forth. If you guys don't know, the H3 podcast. No, actually, disclaimer. This does not reflect my political opinions.
Okay.
No one can. I don't think anyone can like actually summarize them, because I don't believe in this stupidity of having to pick one party.
Okay.
That's just dumb.
Okay.
So this is not me commentating on a party.
Or like choosing one side. Yeah.
This is about me talking about people.
Mm-hmm.
H3 podcast. It's just like a YouTube podcast. And Lotto with Crowder is a podcast. This guy Crowder, there's not a lot of people in the world where I'm like just gonna be like, yo, I don't like this dude. I don't like this dude.
He's like a very right wing political commentator, if you want to call him that. I don't think he's particularly.
He's not political commentator either.
I don't think he's like the most intelligent, but also I've heard. I don't know how true this is, but this is just something I've heard. I've heard that he's not even like as radically right as he portrays himself to be.
You know what he gives me? Him. He was that guy for Fox News.
There's a lot of them.
It's like that white guy who.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
There's these.
I need to look him up.
Him, and like Candace Owens. There's a lot of these political commentators that only commentate because it gives them a career, but they don't actually. They're not really invested.
Yeah. But
they know that there's a fan base for people who will eat up this garbage that they're spewing. Eat it up, and that gives them money, that gives them fame.
Are you talking about Tucker Carlson?
Yes. Tucker Carlson has no opinion on anything.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens might have opinions, but like, she's also disingenuous as well. But my point is, these people, they don't actually... I don't think they really even believe what they're talking about. Many of them, they just know, hey, there's a very strong niche of people that if I talk about this garbage, they support me no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of them just repeat like whatever is their part, like the party that they affiliate, whatever the values held there. And I guess my issue is not even necessarily if they believe all of them, because I think for the most part they do have like. Most of the beliefs that they spout are like genuine, at least to some extent, genuinely held beliefs.
Maybe to some extent.
But they just spit out these like party slogans, party phrases without any kind of extra or like critical lens. They just repeat them because that's what they're supposed to repeat. Yeah. That's my issue.
And what makes me understand that someone's not being genuine is whenever they're talking to people like they're not people, but like they're doing something just for views. Like what I mean is like louder with Crowder. You guys all know the show, probably. What's it called? The saying?
Change my mind.
Change my mind. Like he
Yeah.
goes to college campuses and he takes up hot takes. That's actually how I found his channel.
I think that's how a lot of people found him. Like that's how it got popular.
That's what got viral. He has like a lot of viral videos doing that. And actually, at first, you don't know off rip what his stance is, how he is. I was like, oh, this guy's kind of funny, kind of cool. I thought it was like informative, right?
Yeah, that's another thing. Anytime he gets into hot water, he's like, "Oh, it was just a joke. I'm a comedian.
Yeah, he doesn't know if he's a comedian or political commentator. When in reality, he's either funny or smart. That's the problem with him. That's the problem. Like, and I've seen his comedy, quote unquote comedy. It's not funny. Like he doesn't understand that being edgy alone doesn't actually make something funny.
Yeah.
Comedy is an art. And you're not an artist, obviously.
And it's like it's part of like you have to communicate with the crowd, like anything, like even like performing, like singing or something. There's a communication that's happening with the crowd.
Yeah.
Even if you look at like, and this could be like, you could say this is for better or for worse, but if you look at like Mad Does or like people who go around reciting nohas and reciting poetry, there is still that communication with the crowd.
Of course,
you know?
yeah. That's what makes it lit. Like that's what makes someone bomb or not.
Yeah.
Like on stage. I mean, people might get in their feelings of like call Matt Don like a performer. That's what they are. I know what you want me to tell you. That's what it is. It's a performance. Now it's a religious performance, yes, but it's still a performance. So like even anyways, what happened? With the H3 podcast, H3 is like just a dude who makes YouTube videos.
He's been making YouTube videos for a long time.
He's like one of the OGs of the network. And he's like, obviously as time goes by, he's had to transform his channel many different times because YouTube changes a lot. Right. And right now he's podcasting mainly, and he's been doing some political stuff. Like he just talks about his political opinion, but it's also just because he's like a dude in his 30s or 40s. He's not just going to talk about memes all day. Yeah. Like when you're 30 and you're 40, you want kind of talk about politics in the world. Like you get the things you talk about gets bigger, get like bigger picture. And he says something about COVID. Like, I think we should listen to scientists. Right. I'm not even saying that's a right or wrong opinion. I'm just saying that's what he said. And Louder with Crowder challenged him to a debate.
Which is, again, talking about disingenuity. Crowder, from the beginning, like, I'm going to backtrack because you first mentioned Change My Mind. The issue that I always had with Crowder and these Change My Mind things is that he never actually was there to have his mind changed. He was there. He was there to show college students how stupid they were, quote unquote, for having the opinions that they had. Yeah. And he wasn't, because like when there was actually someone, whenever there would actually be someone who talked to him about the issues and debated him decently about the issues, he wasn't. It was never like he was open to having his mind changed. He wasn't like, that's a point I never thought of, even if it was a point that he clearly had never thought of. Again, he was just spouting what he's supposed to spout as far as like his political affiliation. So that's one. And then two, completely disingenuous to challenge H3, who's not an internet like political debater, right? Yeah. He's not someone that does this regularly. He's just a dude, like you said, a dude making commentary, a dude making videos on his channel. Yeah. And to challenge him to be like, oh yeah, debate me in a public debate, especially knowing the absolutely brain dead audience that Crowder has. So just that from the jump, you can continue explaining the situation. Yeah.
So what happened was, H3 was like, bet, let's do it. And he completely got him. I would honestly say before we're listening to this point forward, you could pause the podcast and go to YouTube and just search up H3 gets Crowder. Like there's a 40-minute video like showing what he does. He completely got the dude's neck. But okay, now that you're back from that, assuming you want to watch that because you haven't. Let's be real. You're here because you're here for thoughtful banter. What happened was H3 joins. Dude, I can hear that in my headphones.
Yeah, it was loud. Hold on.
H3 joins the podcast and the live stream. And this is live. This is all live. And Crowder is like, oh, I'm so excited. Like, and by the way, his energy is off. Crowder has gotten worse over the years. Like, he's doing more of like compensation-ish behavior. Like, he seems like, I don't mean, and I'm not trying to, like, I'm not doing this for defamation. But he's like, he seems like he's on Adderall. Like, his energy is far too high up. Like Adderall and coffee. I don't know what it is. It's like a nervous tick, especially for like a debater. You should be calm. Every debater I've seen is like calm, collected. Like Muhammad Hijab, for example. Like, look. Anyways, what H3 did was he joined it, And Crowder's like introducing him. Is like, hey yo, like thanks for coming on. He's one of the OGs of YouTube. Let's have this debate. Thank you so much for joining. And HG is like, Crowder, thanks for having me. But I gotta be honest. I gotta show you something. And then what does he do?
And then basically he lets Sam Cedar, who's another political commentator, into the Zoom call. And the funny thing about this is because apparently Sam Cedar, I guess, stands on the opposite aisle politically than Crowder, and they had been supposed to debate at Politicon one year, supposedly according to Politicon, and apparently, supposedly, allegedly, Crowder backed out of it, and for a long time people were calling him like Cold Feet Crowder, Cold Feet Crowder, Cold Feet Crowder. And so this like idea that Crowder was scared of Sam Cedar came, and it was so interesting because Crowder got so visibly upset,
visibly shook
when Sam Cedar got on the call. And I'm not saying it was necessarily because he was like scared, but the thing that made me upset is that Crowder has done similar things to people as far as like ambushing them in public spaces and forcing them to, I guess, debate or talk to him.
That's his thing.
That is literally
that's literally his whole thing.
And so there were a whole bunch of like the right wing cope on Twitter was like they were like, oh my god, we shouldn't be indulging these debate me bros, and that's literally what Crowder is.
That
debate
is
me bro.
No, that's
bro.
By definition. Like he comes to college campuses and debates some of like I mean, with all due respect, the dumbest people, and that's not because college. It's because they're kids. And like you're in college, you don't know anything. And then he's there, he's been brainstorming and has notes on a particular subject. Exactly. He's like, just check all the newest statistics on abortion, for example.
Exactly. I don't know if you know, but sometimes he literally has like a binder with him of like the facts that he's like compiled.
Yeah. And you're talking to some dude who's like walking to his freaking his
philosophy 101
philosophy 101 class.
English 101.
He's on his way to his lecture that's like maybe on a completely different topic. And you're also asking emotionally charged questions, like warning just on the word I'm about to use. Even like he'll talk about rape, he'll talk about abortion, he'll talk about like police brutality. Like these are all humongous trigger topics, right? And then more than that, he won't approach the conversation from a point of productivity. He'll approach it from, let me try to trigger you. Like he was talking about, I forgot what he was asking. I think he was talking about rape. But it was something on campus, like rape statistics.
Rape culture.
Something. It was like, rape culture doesn't mind, prove me wrong. Like, that's what he said. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And I'm like, do you know how triggering that is? And I don't mean from the BS snowflake sense of I'm triggered. Like, do you know how many people have had that done to them? And then you're just going to go on campus and say, doesn't exist. And, oh, I get it. Technically, you're saying the culture doesn't exist. But that's just invalidating. Like you know how you're making people feel.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing, and you're just making money off of it. You're disingenuous. So it was just very satisfying to see him all shook.
It was very
from
funny,
Sam Cedar.
And then like his little boy like crony in the like who just starts talking,
little leprechaun,
and basically just starts like roasting H3. And then it was so funny because Crowder kept mentioning how like unpopular and how unknown Sam Cedar was. But he knew everything about him. He was like, oh yeah, I watch like your comedy if you want to, like your stand-up comedy. It's not funny. Like he said that. And then he was like, oh, you ended your show like this many minutes early last week. And he's saying all these like super specific details about Sam Cedar. And he's like, how do you know I'm doing any of that if you don't even follow me? He's like my audience doesn't even know who you are. And he's like, okay, well now that you've introduced me, now that I've been introduced by Ethan, you can take this debate.
Yeah, you're clearly a fan.
Clearly a fan.
It's like that Connor John posted, you're a fan. I know a fan when I see one. I know a fan when I see one.
And then like he kept on talking about audience size. Crowder has 5 million subs. Sam has 1.0 something million subs.
That's
and like
enough, man.
Yeah, like he's crossed the threshold where he's like worthy enough, if quote unquote, if like we're assuming that subscribers gives you that. But anyway, he's worthy enough to have this discussion with. And like debate on the issues, bro. Again, you've done this before. Where there's literally a video of him, like surprising Jank the
Young Turks.
Young Turks, yeah, the creator of Young Turks, This dude's at like I guess like a press conference of some kind. He's on the mic,
Mm-hmm.
and Crowder literally dresses up as him, puts on a wig and everything, and then goes around the table where he's speaking and is literally mocking him. And he just literally just ambushed him. And I'm like, how are you able to do this and so hypocritical that you get so butthurt that someone does something similar to you? And it was just beautiful to watch.
Yeah, I just love justice. Or I like revenge. That's not justice. Yeah, I love poetic justice. And that's what it was for me. If you guys are fans of the Thoughtful Banter podcast, which you must be because you made it to this point already, make sure you check out patreon.com/thoughtful banter. Patreon is one of the best ways to support your favorite creator, artist, YouTuber. Basically, what it allows you to do is for you to give a monthly donation or fee to your favorite creator, and in exchange you get something back. It might be a t-shirt, it might be a mug. In your case, it will be 2 extra episodes every single month. So that's $5 a month for 2 whole episodes, exclusive only to Patreon. So if you haven't checked it out already, just go to our Patreon page, check out the tiers. If they're interesting to you, you can check us out. The Patreon money is useful, by the way. It does go into funding the podcast, buying new equipment, and also taking on larger projects, things for like getting an editor and so on and so forth. So if you're a fan of the podcast, please check out patreon.com. And if you can't check that out, that's fine. Just please share our clips on social media. Help your friends know more about us so we can go viral. So we're trying to introduce segments. So what we just now came back from was, I guess, talking about like a recent event.
Yeah, this is gonna be like a Juma khutbah, except for we did it backwards. But anyways,
yeah. And right now, I guess we want to talk about like something personal to us. So I guess moving forward, just for the audience, expect something that's like recent, like that's like outside in the world, and then something that's personal to us, either our own experience or an observation or a thought.
Yeah.
I want to talk about friends, bro, because as we're growing up, we see that what's really setting us apart. I don't mean to be arrogant, but I do see there's a difference between us and some other people in terms of just the support we have, where we are in our lives because of that support.
Yeah. And
really what it comes down to is the relationships we have with people. And our relationship with family, that's a different episode.
Absolutely.
Because that's an entire different pillar.
Yeah.
Right? But the relationship I have with my friends has made me who I am today for the better. And I swear to God, I do not know where I would be if he did not bless me with those relationships.
Absolutely. I mean, I think. Okay, so growing up, one of the things that I always took for granted was, the quality of relationship that I had with my siblings. And this is kind of different, but I'll wrap it back into your original point. So, I have several siblings, but I have like 3 sisters. Well, now I have 4 sisters, but she's a baby, so she doesn't really count.
Give me a second. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I thought my mic disconnected. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're good. 3 sisters, and we're all very close. We joke. Obviously, I'm closer to some than others, but that's just natural, like naturally going to happen in a family, especially a family as big as mine. And I'm sure they say the same thing about some of our others, like our other siblings. Anyways, I didn't realize how abnormal it is to have such a good such a big family, and have such normal/good relationships with your siblings. Like it wasn't until I got older that I realized that a lot of people actually aren't that close with their siblings, or don't have like
toxic
the best of relationships with their siblings.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about American culture surrounding family, and the idea of family, but I'm not going to get too deep into that. In the same vein, the relationship that I have with my friends, with my like close friends that I have around me right now, is something that I didn't know was as good as it is until I started talking to other people who didn't have that, and they were like, "Bro, what kind of friends you got?"
Yeah, different ones.
Built different, yeah.
All my boys built different.
And it has nothing to do with me, obviously. Like I was just extremely lucky and blessed to stumble into these opportunities.
That might be Cap.
Okay.
Because it's I don't know anything, right? But like, so obviously there's one aspect of things where it's just God, and to me, what that is that's just what's out of your control. At the very least, that is just what's out of your control. That's like the opportunity. But at the end of the day, like some people just don't a lot of people, everyone I know who doesn't have friends doesn't take the opportunity to have friends.
Mm-hmm.
They decide to be lonely. They choose to isolate themselves many times.
Mm-hmm. Because that's easier.
Yeah, because it's uncomfortable to be vulnerable with somebody else.
Yeah. And that's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of the people I know right now that are struggling to make friends is because they're simultaneously too scared to be vulnerable.
And that's on them.
Yeah.
And that's on them. And you chose to be. I mean, I remember growing up, and I feel like there's always phases of this with every relationship. There, and it gets harder and harder every time you introduce a new phase of this new level of intimacy and trust you build with this other person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's at that most basic level of like, can we play basketball together? Can we play video games?
Yeah.
Then it's like, can we rely on each other to like not be a-holes around each other, basically?
Yeah.
Like, can you respect me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you can chill, you know, when you're younger, you can chill with some guy, and then he's like being annoying, being disrespectful,
Yeah.
or not like being a jerk.
Yeah, like he gets around a different group of people, acts completely different.
Yeah, acts way different. Then
Yeah.
then there's can I tell you secrets?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Can I trust you with like if you make a promise to me, can I trust that you'll fulfill that promise?
yeah. And it goes up and up. But what happens to people whenever they don't have friends is they become lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever they are lonely, they fall into their own mind. And this is a thing. The mind is, as you said, episode 1 to 3, I think. Your mom said. You were saying your mom said.
I said that my mom said.
Yeah. That the mind is the greatest echo chamber.
Yes.
And whenever you're alone, your mind rules, because it's very easy to think that what's going on in your mind is the only thing, right? And if you have no other input, then you have no other input.
Yeah.
So it must be real.
There's nothing else you're considering in that world that you created.
Exactly. And just to give a easy physical example, right? If you're like in isolation in a prison cell, you haven't seen anybody for like 90 days, for example, and then you start hallucinating, like you see somebody in front of you. Who is going to tell you whether or not someone is there?
Mm-hmm.
No one. Someone might be there, someone might not be there. You have no other input. You have to trust the input you're given.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens with people, like on a smaller level. The way they perceive things, the way that they understand life, the way they understand their current situations, their dilemmas. They only have their own input. And if their input is, for one, let's just assume everyone's a little bit delusional.
Mm-hmm.
But at the very least, if their delusional input is not positive, then they're lost.
Yeah. In the sauce. Lost in the sauce. I was there are a lot of like lectures and stuff about this. I remember my first semester of college, I had a English class, and in it was talking about this concept of how and it's just natural, I think, for the at least anyways, I think for the most part it's natural just thinking that you are like the only / most important person in the world. And it gave in this reading that we were doing, it gave this example of this man who was driving a car, and he gets cut off by a car, and he's like super triggered and super upset.
Yeah.
And he's like chasing down the car that cut him off, trying to flip him off or whatever. And then he looks into the car and he sees that like there's a woman with like her legs on the dashboard, her stomach is like humongous, and the dude, the husband who's driving the car next to her is driving like a maniac because he's rushing her to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because she's in labor.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he feels like such a like a-hole because he's like, I went out of my way trying to be insulting to this person because they cut me off, and I didn't even realize that they had XYZ going on.
Yeah.
And again, that's just like a hyperbolic example, and an easy to understand example of what happens on a smaller scale in our mind if we don't have anyone to give us that extra amount of input.
Yeah, and I just want people to ask themselves, like, there's kind of getting emotional.
I see.
Astaghfirullah, bismillah. I just want to say I'm not perfect, and everyone obviously knows that, but I just want people to understand that I know that, because people listening and be like, yo, you're like being preachy. Like, I'm not perfect, but I'm also going to talk about what's on my heart.
Yeah. I mean, like,
so
the reason why we can talk about this because we both experienced this. But the only difference is that we have friends good enough to point out when we're being absolutely tripping, like we're absolutely wilding.
I've noticed this thing in life. People have, I'll call them breaking points.
Mm-hmm.
And every breaking point for everyone is different. But it's always easy. A sign of a breaking point is it's always easy to observe someone else's. And breaking points always make you yourself emotional, erratical, and delusional. You know, for some guy, it might be his dad. Like, just everything about his dad triggers him. He starts acting aggressive for no reason. He starts talking to his friends like they don't even know him. You know, for another guy, it might be like some idea that he has about himself, like he's stupid. Like there's always that friend who's not living to their potential, and it's because they just think that they're dumb, so they act dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you try to tell them like, yo, why don't you do this, do that, they will never take your advice. They will never do it.
Yeah.
And they get emotional about it. And then the other friend's like, bro, why acting like that? Just do this thing. And then that friend has an issue with money, and he thinks he's poor, and he has like a broke-mindedness, and money makes him emotional. Like, everyone has their breaking points. Like, we all have something that really hurts us.
And it's hard to deal with.
It's hard to deal with. And it's you know, with everyone, it might be the stupidest thing, but that's yours.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your breaking point is going to be seen very stupid to me because we're built different.
Yeah.
We just are. I'm strong in the areas that you're not.
Yeah.
That's how life is. And it'd be easy. I'm like, for example, I'll be like, yo, Hussein, like, why don't you, the solution is this. Why are you being so hard on yourself? Why are you being so negative?
Mm-hmm.
Just do the right thing.
Just implement. Yeah.
Just believe in yourself. Don't shoot yourself. It won't even be anything crazy. Just believe in yourself. Don't be negative. Hey, do the best you can. And you be like, oh, nah, man, you tripping. You don't even know what it's like.
Exactly.
But what about you, man? To do this thing? Nah, it's different. And these things are all difficult. And one of the only ways to get through them is through other people.
Yeah, and I also think, you know, if people stop thinking that their struggles are so special. I think you mentioned it in one episode. You're like, I know this is my struggle, but I also, like, logically, like, when I think about it, I'm aware that I'm not a snowflake in the sense that I'm not unique. There are at least probably a million other people that have the exact same problem that I do.
Bare minimum.
You know,
Yeah.
I have the exact same problem that I do. You know, and we all get like hung up on like, oh no, we have these special circumstances, so for this reasons we can't do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And you need that dose of reality from someone to tell you, bro, you're not a snowflake.
You're not special.
You're not special.
You're not special.
You're not special.
I don't know who needs to tell you
Suck
this.
it up. Here's a bridge. Get over it.
Yeah.
Bro.
You're not special. And I think we think we are because we get a lot into how we feel about a situation.
Mm.
I feel like this. I feel bad. I feel like it's really hard. You can feel however you want.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to change how you feel. Maybe you can't change how you feel right now. But how you feel doesn't matter.
Fulfill your responsibilities. I remember, what did you say? You said, is a man who hates his job going to stop, or who hates his job and is depressed, going to stop working that job, and then, like, I guess, because of him quitting his job, stop providing for his family and kill himself, for example? That's what you said.
Yeah.
Like, is he gonna kill himself? He's like, some do, and some are built different.
Yeah.
And some are built
I have
different.
no respect for the one who kills himself.
SubhanAllah. You're gonna get us cancer.
I don't. Why should I have respect for him?
Whew.
Why?
Whew. I'm not necessarily saying you have to. I'm just saying.
He has a family. He has a family. He has kids. He has people who he relies on. Who people rely on him.
Yeah.
Respect?
Slah.
I might feel empathy that's even a stretch, but empathy is different than respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, that sucks. You know who I feel bad for? His kids.
Your family you left behind.
His wife.
Yeah. That's fair.
I feel bad that she invested her time into having kids with that man.
Okay, Mac is cold. That's what you're reminding me right now.
He should have stayed playing World of Warcraft. He wasn't built to be a dad.
SubhanAllah.
He wasn't. I'm gonna get off my mantle.
Okay, Mac is cold. It reminded me of Steph is cold. Anyways,
No one gets that reference.
I said Steph is cold. I said it reminded me of Steph is cold. I said his name.
I would have been what gets that.
Yeah, Steph is cold is like this guy who inhabits the
Don't
mano-
make him
manosphere.
search up
The
Steph is cold.
manosphere, red pill YouTuber. Anyways, sometimes when he talks to like, he'll get questions from his subscribers and then he'll just roast them and he'll use like a voice similar to the voice Matthew just used, or he'll talk in a way similar to the way Matthew just spoke. So that's
I guess I'm channeling him a little
That's
bit.
all I would say. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yep.
This has been Thoughtful Banter. Thank you guys so much. We will see you next week. Peace.